I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, we have a motion to open the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
10 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Get one of those agendas. I want to get one of them.
No, you have it.
I have one, I memorized it.
All right. Nice work.
You're on your game today, kid. Formality.
The first item, of course, is approval of minutes from April 1st. That you sent around earlier. Did everybody get a chance to see those, or not yet? Okay. Any comments or questions on them?
All answered.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
A motion.
Sam, second?
I'll second.
10 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next items are possible extensions or abandonment of applications pursuant to town code. There's none. Public hearings. So we have two public hearings that, if I recall, are open.
They're open. You can open them
We just
together.
have to reopen them.
Yeah.
We can do them together.
You can open them together, yes, because they're
They're separate
joined in
items,
interest.
Separate items, but.
Same request,
Same request, same owner, same.
correct.
All that. Okay.
Yep, so you can open both together.
Or reopen, right?
Reopen, yep.
Do I have a motion to reopen the public hearings for 6 and 8 Gilmore?
I'll make a motion to open.
Second.
James seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we have applicants' counsel here. We have a couple members of the audience who I met earlier, and Mr. Healy, who may or may not speak tonight, we'll see. But I had spoken with counsel prior to tonight. He had supplied an additional advocacy letter in the recent days, which contains some, what amounts to a legal argument, as opposed to a distinction of a lot line, like I was using as an example. And I think after discussing with him, there may be an additional extension of this public hearing to another date for that to be considered in the analysis. I think should be decided on the entirety of the merits, and we're going to be here anyway, and I don't think given that extra time can't hurt. That being said, we are here. There are members of the public here, so I spoke with counsel about presenting as if we were moving forward on everything tonight. He has some additional pictures that he wants to present, so might as well, we're all here, might as well utilize the time. So counsel, if you would mind, just for the members that are here of the public, can you give a recap of the application, and then present the new material that you have, if you don't mind?
Not a problem.
I appreciate that.
I guess that's on, right?
You speak loud enough as
I talk loud enough anyway, I got it now, that's okay. So anyway, good evening again, my name is Charlie Bizzillo, I'm counsel for the applicant Harness Estates LLC. The application, just in sum, is the applicant has interest in 2 lots on Gumwood Drive, number 6 and number 8. It is part of the existing Arcadia Hills subdivision. These lots were included in the original subdivision whenever that was made many years ago. I don't know the exact date, but it was quite a while ago. The applicant did go and apply for a building permit. It was granted a curb cut permit from the highway department, and then it was discovered that these lots are included in 2 separate overlay districts, but they both have to do with flooding restrictions in the overlay districts. The peculiarity about it is that in order to get the building permit, we need to have site plan approval from the planning board, which is unusual for existing subdivision lots. What the planning board would check is to make sure that the elevation of the home, if it was to be built, is above the flood elevation. But in order to get to the planning board, there's also another section of the code that talks about that the roadway leading to these lots also needs to be either above the flood elevation or somehow raised above the flood elevation. And that is where the problem lies, that it's a town road, it's there, it's existing, it has water and sewer in it, maybe has some other utilities in it too. We can't raise the road. So,
You can't raise the road, or you don't want to raise the road?
I don't think the road can, I don't think the road can be raised.
Roads can be raised.
In how the other houses are set up around it, I don't know whether that's possible or not. And I'll show you pictures in a minute. So, and at the very least, that would be extremely cost prohibitive, you know, so, you know.
But
if-
can't and won't are different, right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So, while we're asking this board for relief, there is a section of the code, again, with the flood protection ordinances, there is a section of the code that allows the zoning board to grant relief to those sections of the code. We are asking the board not for relief from all of the sections of the code, but just for this section about that the road also has to not be impacted by the flood. So if you were to grant that relief, we would then go to the planning board. The planning board would look at our site plan application and make sure that the buildings are at the right elevation, and then in theory, we'd be able to get our permit, our building permit to construct the 2 homes. Again, 2 lots, existing subdivision lots have been there for quite a while. So as your counsel said, I did turn in an additional letter that lays out the description I just talked about, goes through the criteria, how I believe this satisfies the state town law for the criteria, which I'm sure the board is familiar with for granting a variance. I'll just go over those very quickly, not to belabor the point, but as far as affecting the character of the neighborhood, I think that's a given that it wouldn't affect the character of the neighborhood. It's a residential subdivision, we're looking to build two homes, so that's an easy one. The environmental impacts, I don't believe there are any environmental impacts from this. The lots are there. The minor additional impervious area that would be created by putting the lots and the driveways associated with the lots, inconsequential to the overall drainage area that these 2 lots and the rest of the subdivision is included in. So I don't believe there's any change or any change to the environment. The hardship without granting of this variance and the ability to be able to then get to the planning board, we have no other way to do this. And the lots, without this variance, the lots become, there's no value to them. The lots have 0 value to them. And then I guess the last criteria that the board typically would consider is the hardship self-created. At this point, I believe when the applicant here, Harness Estates, acquired their interest in this section of the code probably was in existence. I haven't looked at it in detail, but it probably was in existence. So yes, it might be self-created. However, as I'm sure the board members are aware, you know, that's not something that is an automatic negative to any application. It's something to be considered, but it's not an automatic bar to the board granting the variance. Right? So I was asking brief remarks. I'm going beyond brief, but what
that's a good
okay.
explanation.
So what I did want to, I don't know if the board members have the letter that I had sent in to, if not, I have copies, so it's fine.
It came very late.
Yeah, we have it electronically, but if you want
That's fine.
a hard copy, yeah.
Fine,
feel free.
I've already
Absolutely.
used my ink up, so that's
Yeah.
thank you.
Charles, if I may ask,
Yes.
the current owner of this property, were they unaware that these properties were located in the floodplain when they purchased it?
I don't know because I'm representing the applicant who's looking to build the homes on it, so not sure.
That's not the owner of the property.
That's not the owner of the property. There's another, maybe you guys already have.
I have it. You
Who
don't,
owns the property?
hang on.
Right.
You'll have an opportunity.
So the other thing I would want to give to the board is just 2 simple pictures. Let me get my copies of it first.
Thank you.
Charles, if you have extra copies of the pictures,
I
I'm sure
do.
that the folks behind you, the 3 in the front row, will wanna see what you got, if you don't mind.
I brought 6 with me, so. You want to share? Okay.
We can share.
Okay, perfect. So what the 2 pictures I'm showing here, the one is, this is a shot looking down Gumwood Drive. I don't recall the name of the cross street right now, but looking down, you see, the last house on the right, you'll see that there's a trailer parked out in front of a camper parked out in front of it.
Just hang on, you'll have an opportunity,
Oh,
okay?
I know.
Okay. The second picture shows the view from the end of Gumwood Drive. There's 5 houses on Gumwood Drive, five or six, I believe there's 5 houses on Gumwood Drive. To the left of the camper are the 2 lots in question that we're talking about here. You can see that there's curbing already in the street is there. There's a sewer main right there too. I have another picture of the sewer main, but if you take my word for it, the sewer main is there, the water is there, and you can see that the lots are already raised up, the road is already there. So I think that, this demonstrates how the request for these two lots are always meant to have a house on them. There's other houses that are of similar elevation around them, and so that, the granting of this request, I don't believe is really all that substantial, which is the last category that I didn't go over, about whether the relief request is substantial or not.
What is the elevation change?
The elevation change,
Yeah, you said it's similar, but I'd like, what's the actual number?
I can get you from my notes. We have a site plan that's been prepared over the elevation of the DEC.
And how far up the road does the floodplain extend? Just because these homes are raised, that doesn't mean that the road is in the floodplain.
I believe the flood elevation goes up the road. It goes up.
How far? I mean, these are the lowest lots on that road
Mhm.
by a considerable amount. So, I mean, it's sort of, if they're the only 2 that are in that floodplain, then it kind of negates some of that argument that these houses exist and all of that. So where that floodplain extends to is kind of germane.
I could get that information to the board. I'm sitting here right now, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just one.
thank you.
You got that?
So that's my additional information for the board to consider, so.
We'll, and then whatever was just inquired of, provide that back to us if you don't mind, and then we'll get to the public as well. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. It's a nice day to take pictures, that's for sure.
It was a nice day. That day was nice. It wasn't today windy like today, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any, before we open it up to the public, do you have any additional commentary or questions, or?
Yeah, I do, if you don't mind. Okay. I just kind of want to make a statement here to make sure that we're all on the same page, Charles. And to make the most of everyone's time, I totally, obviously, anybody can make an application for any reason that they feel. I just want to make sure you understand what you're asking for exactly. You're asking for the zoning board of appeals to make a decision on not just a variance, but to essentially change town code overall, the entire town, for one instance of a variation. Basically stating that in the event that dirt can be added to any area that has a floodplain, they now will be able to build. And that would change I just want to be clear on that would change the entire town code for 2 properties in a development. I want to make sure you understand how serious of a variance you're asking for while you're asking.
That's, yeah. You looking for the name? That's just.
That's the name,
names,
yeah. Okay, don't have my glasses on, so. I understand that may be your opinion about it. We don't believe that is. We believe that the code in Goshen, and as would be typical when you would have these kind of flood ordinances in the town, you have to have some way to grant relief from them. Your code has that in it. It specifically references back to this particular section of the code. The board has the authority to do that. If you were to grant this variance, and this is where I believe your counsel says this is a legal argument that needs to be examined, I don't believe granting this variance is a legislative action by this board. It doesn't go beyond the authority that your own code grants to this board to be able to give this kind of relief when requested. And again, you have to look at, I would ask the board to look at the particular circumstances of this application. These 2 lots at this location, I believe, are very unique in the overall scheme of things.
Can you add to that? Why do you feel that way? Just so I can understand what makes.
Well, you have 2 lots that are at the end of an existing town road that's been there for a long time. The water and sewer is already there in the street. There are other existing homes around it. I think that's a lot different than a situation saying you come to a totally greenfield site and say, well, I want to raise up these lots to build a warehouse on, or to build some commercial building on, or even a series of homes on. We're talking about 2 lots in an existing subdivision. And I think that makes it, when you put all that together, it makes it a very unique situation.
Dan, Tom, yeah? Anybody have any?
I saw in the application that the town highway department approved the permits for the driveways. Is that, what, can I get any more detail?
Well, I think what happened is that the applicant went and, has the lots. See, the first thing you do is you go in and ask the town highway superintendent or highway inspector, where do you want me to put the driveway cuts? Here's where I'm gonna put the homes, where's the driveway cuts? He was granted those.
Okay.
And then I think after that, somewhere after that, it came up that these were also in these overlay districts.
Okay, I'm just curious, did they bring up any issues regarding the floodplain, water issues when the owner went to them for the,
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't think the highway department would ever question those parts, yeah, I don't think they're in the privy to ask if I'm not mistaken.
The other issue I think I may have mentioned this in one of the other meetings too, these lots are also in not in the DEC wetland, but in the buffer zone to the DEC wetland, and the applicant has already gotten a permit from DEC for development of the houses within that buffer zone. And that's a valid permit that's still in existence, even despite DEC changing the regulations recently.
This applicant or was it?
This applicant.
Okay.
This applicant.
This applicant, let's clarify that, because this applicant is the builder, not the landowner, right?
Right. It's this applicant.
The builder sought the permits,
Yes.
not the landowner.
Yes.
And in anticipation of this question coming up,
Yes.
who is the landowner?
The landowner is on the list here.
Is the landowner a member of the LLC?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. The landowner's last name is Olympia. And the first name is Rymko, which I will not try to pronounce.
Okay. All right, Charles, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna open it up to the members of the public. Just ask that you, when you get up to the mic, state your name, what town you're from, and then you have 3 minutes to inquire, but we're not gonna strictly hold you to that. Some people, maybe, but no, in all seriousness, yeah, I'm looking at,
That was for me.
that's,
Okay.
I have the mic right now, so I get to take my shots at Chris, but all seriousness, Chris, if you have anything, why don't you get us started, just so the other members can kind of see how this procedure works. I'm being serious on that one, actually, so.
My name is Chris Healy. I'm a resident of the town of Goshen. Mr. Brady, did you say that we might hold this public hearing open?
It was a kind of a mutual understanding that because of the new information and the proximity to the time that we got it, and it's not verbose, but it's dense in its arguments, and I think that it would be. I think it needs to be considered, and I think it needs to be considered more than over the course of a half hour.
I asked because I really thought I knew where I stood on this particular issue, as I have been following it as I'm here at all the meetings, except for the last one. But Mr. Barrett put me right on my heels with his comments on how this, what I think would be termed past practices, right? Once you do it for one, you have to do it for all.
Yeah.
I'm not, so it really makes me want to think. I will say, look, there's the law and there's the spirit of the law. And I tried to explain to my girls when I was teaching them how to drive, there's a road out on Albany Post Road and it crosses Byron Turnpike. And it's a four-way stop sign and you've got like at least a mile of visible sight line on each side. And I said, so it's the law that you have to come to the full stop at this traffic? Yes, you do. I says, but if there's an 18-wheeler barreling down behind you and he's looking down at his phone and you can see there's no traffic coming each way, and you decide, I'm not stopping because I'm gonna get killed, and you blow through the stop sign, did you break the law? No, you broke the law, but you didn't break the spirit of the law. So, Mr. Barrett, as you were talking about what carries forward to all the other properties, this applicant, from my understanding, is going to raise the house, and the reason that we don't want to build in these floodplains is because it'll be a problem in the floodplains, and that's the law. The spirit of the law is that we don't want these houses so low that they're going to get flooded, they won't be able to be accessed by emergency service personnel, and there may be other reasons that, as a layman, I just don't know why. Makes sense that you don't build in a floodplain, I wouldn't, but I'm not sure the actual technical reasons why, and I'm sure an engineer would be better apt to say. I was all really for saying, please give the applicant the variance, because it seemed to me that they were doing what was necessary to build safely in an area that is supposed to be built in. But Mr. Barrett, if you're correct that this would change the law for the entire town, then no, that's a real problem. And so, I was asking if we're going to continue this,
Yeah.
I might want to research this a little bit more myself before I give a definitive opinion from the public. And by the way, I know I'm just a guy from the public, but I hope that sometimes hearing from the public, it helps the board members maybe understand from somebody from the outside how they're seeing things. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, Chris.
That said,
No, but that's a real point. I think that's what I was, why the letter, you know, the additional advocacy which contemplates that exact issue, is why I want to afford more time. You know, it's
I usually think it's pretty cut and dry for the board to make these decisions. I think you're stuck on this one. I'm sorry. I don't envy you on this.
I know the building inspector is chomping at the bit to have a word as well, and I think it relates to what we're talking about, or what you're, you know, segueing off of what you're going to say. So
Yeah, so, Mr. Haley.
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you.
Chris, no,
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not. It's a direct response to that coming. That's why I'm.
One thing to look at is this Town Code 9725 uppercase letter C. Yeah, you could build a house, raise the house, proper construction, get it out of the floodplain, make it safe. But the concern here is 9725 uppercase letter C. It's a paragraph, and there's a section that talks about the roadway that goes to the house has to be raised as well, or proven engineer-wise that it's safe from flooding. For first responders, things of that nature, right? We don't want to put first responders in peril either. So I think that's where the argument is. And if I could go on to speak a little further at this point, I'm not so sure the zoning board has the authority to waive certain sections of that legislation. This piece was brought into place by the town board. So there's a legal issue where I don't want to get into the weeds, but I'm not so sure if the zoning board of appeals has the authority to grant that. There's a section that I think should be looked at as well. We're not going to do this tonight, but as we move forward on this.
This will be recapped to you guys. Just so you know. Okay.
Is Town Code 97-69. That's the administration enforcement of the zoning board of appeals. It kind of explains the power of the zoning board of appeals. I'm not so sure this application fits into the power that you are allowed to do it. I'll leave it up to the attorneys, and I'm sure it's going to be discussed further. But that's my position at this time. And I might have some more to say. Let me just collect my thoughts, but I just want to make that point across at this point. Okay?
And just to note, where, not necessarily where I stand on it, but there is a separation between what applications can come before you and then what decisions you can make with certain applications. I believe, at the very least, that applicant has a right to procedurally be in front of you with this application. I'll present you, Frank's made his points, and I think that you have your understanding of where it is, and we should look at Charles's advocacy and the things that Frank just laid out before the next meeting. But I'll send that back to you guys in a recap of what, along with the letter, and additional things that council said, and then what Frank pointed you guys to. With that being said, I believe you may have some questions, if you don't mind, just,
Gotta go to the mic?
yeah, you gotta do the mic, yeah.
Oh,
I know you love it, I know. It's there to, sometimes it deters people, sometimes it encourages people, I don't know, so. Have at it, though.
It's the first time I've ever been up here.
All right, well, welcome. Just state your name and,
Well, I'm the house that has the trailer.
okay. Do you have a
Okay?
name?
Huh?
Do you have a name?
My name is Holly Kolb, Kolb.
Hi, Ms. Cole, how are you?
Okay.
I can assume you're from the town of Goshen based on the fact that you're on the same road as the Gunwood Drive?
Right. Absolutely. I'm
Great.
4.
Okay, noted.
That property has been empty for 40 years. We do have flood insurance. Okay, it was demanded by the bank because it is in a flood zone. That property has been wet. It is in the flood zone. And that road has flooded. And it's because of that stream that's opposite of Wedgewood. When that gets clogged up, because the pipe is not big enough. It's been asked to do a bigger pipe, they don't wanna spend the money. My husband used to lawn mow this property, and it was wet. So, you know, I'd like to know exactly again what the name of the applicant is.
Harness Estates LLC.
Harness
should-
Estates.
Harness Estates.
That's the name of the corporation that's looking to build on the two properties. That is different than the,
Is there a name behind it? You would mention the name.
It's an LLC, it has,
ma'am, I also
There's a
just,
name behind an LLC.
well, not necessarily that, you wanna know who owned the property.
Right.
Right, am I mistaken, that's actually what you're asking, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's,
Yes.
can
Who
you-
owns
It
Harness
is, the last
Estates
name
LLC?
first name is RYMKO, actually, is that the last name? It's Olympia Rimco. I'm gonna take a shot at that last name, RYMKO, first name Olympia.
Is that a woman's name?
It's 2025, I have no idea. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so, and I don't know how long she's owned it, but you can get that information from the building department, possibly, is that correct? Am I speaking out of turn on that?
The best way, what I do is go on the county website.
Oh, there you go.
And get the report of the parcel. You get a lot of information.
Go to who?
The county website has a kind of a directory of that information.
Okay. So in my understanding of the notice that I got, they want to get out of this floodplain situation? Is that what that's saying?
I believe that, I don't want to summarize it, it was summarized by the applicant, so I'm not really,
Well, I can give you a copy of the letter that I got.
no, I understand what the letter said, I'm saying that it was just presented what the applicant's looking to do.
Yeah, they want to build 2 homes,
Right,
to live in or to rent.
I'm not, that's not something that this board contemplates as part of the analysis, so it hasn't been asked, nor is it relevant to this part. It's very relevant to a neighbor, and I'm not discounting the relevancy to you. It is not relevant to the
Okay,
analysis of the board.
all right.
Well, is there any chance you can offer some information about, are you referring to the Otter Kill, that is the Otter Kill River that's behind the property, is when you said the waterway?
Not behind.
Or,
Well, there is, yes, that's wetlands behind us.
Yeah, okay.
And
Has
when
that-
we had our house built there, we had the back filled, 70 truckloads of dirt by the builder. That was Feeney at the time.
What year was that?
Huh?
What year was that, ma'am?
Year?
Yeah, what year?
1982, 83.
Thanks.
It's very likely. Code
So
change-
that
code change,
property
yes, right.
has been empty for quite a while. It's been trying to get sold for many years. I did talk to a builder, Billy. I don't know if anybody knows who Billy is,
I know Bob built it, but I don't know if it was.
but I thought he owned it. But, no, my concern is that, is somebody gonna live there? Is it not gonna be rented?
That's,
You
again,
know, I know, I
Yeah,
know.
that's a fair question, I'm not trying to discount it, I just,
Yeah,
Matt, if you don't mind me asking, have there been days when you couldn't get out of your driveway because the street is flooded?
probably about a day or two.
A year? On average, like, or over the past
Um,
20 some odd years?
It was twice when we've had excessive rain.
Mhm.
And like I said, you know, stuff comes down that stream
Yeah.
across from Wedgewood. And if it's clogged, it, you know, does the whole road.
Right.
You
Make
know,
sure it's
and
clogged, is it clogged, or are you guessing that it's
it's
clogged?
clogged,
Not-
but also in the back, behind the fences, that was totally flooded also.
And that's the side where the Otter Kill is?
I don't know what the river is up to. But my concern is, you know, who's building, what
is your
they're
concern,
building.
is your concern about, just trying to narrow this down, is your concern related to, there being an issue with the homes being built in this floodplain, or is it about who's gonna live there?
A little bit of both.
Okay,
A
well,
little
we're
bit of
gonna
both.
parse, we gotta separate the two,
Uh-huh.
right? So we're here to decide the issue of whether this property is unique in its nature, where there's a variance to the town code that would be acceptable for the members of the community, that it wouldn't change the entire town code. I mean, that's a very quick synopsis of what we're here to do tonight. As far as who's gonna live there and things of that nature, it's not our purview.
Right,
All right,
right.
it's just a matter of, it's about whether or not this is a unique enough property and a unique enough situation that it requires a variance, and that variance would not cause a situation where it alters the town code entirely. I don't,
To take it out of the floodplain?
yeah, I don't know how different way to say it than I just said it. So I would just say, it's a lot moving fast because it's your first time at the meeting. The meeting's recorded. Let's just say, like, loop it back, and now that you have the information, watch it again, watch the applicant's presentation about what he's asking for and what the board's concerns are, and then Mr. Healy's statements. And I think that would summarize it better than I am doing.
It's available on the town's YouTube channel.
Say what?
The meeting is recorded, and it's on the town's YouTube channel. I'll get you to it.
Okay.
I'm not, again, I think that's better than me trying to represent what he just did. That's all, okay?
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Ma'am, do you have anything you want
And
to?
she lives across the street.
Okay.
I was just here for information.
Well, I want to just, yeah, but
About-
it's noteworthy that members of the public are here. That's important, and you two are the closest in proximity, it sounds like, so
Yeah.
that's important.
Are you located?
Can I ask a quick question?
You can, yeah, go for it.
Mrs., the owner of the two properties owns 10 as well. The last lot on the block.
That may be, yeah. that may
Do
be.
you have any idea if she would plan to then want to develop that one if she gets approval on these two?
I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know.
She's not your client.
I don't know my client. yeah.
I hear you.
I'll say I'm just gonna offer, I would think not, because I believe to the side of number 8, I think the town has a gate across the road at that point. I don't think the road's developed beyond that point.
Right. How many, I'm just gonna inquire the building inspector, I don't know if you know the answer to this, how many properties will fall into this situation, or
That's South Carolina.
There's a
if
few.
you're not comfortable answering it yet, I just.
I don't have a hard number.
Yeah.
But there's properties that come up from time to time, and I think one has been in front of the zoning board, where this code concern came into play, where the road, the engineer has to demonstrate that the road is
Yeah.
safe from flooding.
Yeah.
They're not asking for a variance, they're just dealing with that code. You know, putting codes aside, you know, like, variances, the zoning board, typically grants variance, an area variance, right? It could be setbacks, it could be anything, area. Use variance, a certain type of business doesn't belong in that zone, they may get a use variance, hard to come by. Or an interpretation. I make an interpretation of the code, the applicant doesn't agree, it comes to the zoning board of appeals. That's typically the three things. So that code section I referenced before, the powers of the zoning board, I think you have to give that a hard look. I don't want to repeat myself, but this was language put in by the town board. I consulted with the town engineer, he agrees with me, that, and I would suggest you consider, speaking with council and see where we go with this. Okay?
I think the next steps are for us to review this.
Yeah, for sure. And I, yeah, you can speak.
Just for a point of information.
Can you, Joe, can you just, I know everybody knows who you are, but just.
Sure, Joe Gautreaux, resident town of Goshen, also supervisor. Just for a point of reference for the zoning board, everything on Lindenwood Drive, because there have been problems over the years, some time ago, the town went and purchased every single one of those properties to never be built. What you're seeing here is a lot of properties that go for tax sale. This particular property went for tax sale many years ago at $10,000, somebody bought it, then it got resold at $70,000 to this particular person. But the town realized a long time ago that everything along Lindenwood Drive was in a flood zone, got flooded out, hence the road hasn't been built, and that's why we now own it, so it can never be developed. These two properties somehow slipped through. I tried to research it with the previous supervisor, and just two properties that slipped through. But keeping that in mind when you're looking at this application, you should understand everything on Lindenwood Drive is owned by the town and considered never to be built because it's in a flood zone.
There was three properties, right, that got through? He owns,
No.
Or they own 6, 8, and 10?
Yeah, Lindenwood Drive is probably 30 properties along there that we own, the town owns.
No,
Both sides of the road.
No, what I'm saying is you said that there were
They
two.
own
that-
3 parcels.
3 of them, I just want to make sure that, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna, Chris, Charles, what's our upcoming, do we have enough time in?
May 6th.
What is it, the 6th? May 6th?
I've probably got 2 meetings on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. If,
Okay, I think at this point, maybe a motion to adjourn this, or extend this public hearing to May 6th, correct? 7:30 PM.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Charles, if there's any other things coming in from your end, they gotta be in like, because we're expediting this back around, okay? So, I'll meet with Frank and you guys can fire off questions to me related to what Frank said. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Charles, thank you for the time.
Thank
It's
you.
cold. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. So we'll be back here May 6th if you want to come back. That's gonna be the, if you're available, but,
Here,
what's that?
I'll be here.
All right, great. All right, you can hang out. I just wanted to thank you. Oh, that's all. I'm not kicking you out. Yeah,
I'm okay.
all right.
I can say that.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thanks.
All right.
All right,
Very good.
take care, ladies. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
You too.
lawyers talk.
Okay, so the next on the agenda is items for discussion / action. The first on there is the Northern Fair, and we now have a draft decision.
Yes, that's correct. It was electronically disseminated. I'm comfortable reading it into the record if need be. Does anybody have any questions related to it? Anything that there was I'll note that James had brought up the logs and
I noted in the conclusion that the board placed a condition that upon them that any additional conditions placed upon them by the planning board or any town, state, or other applicable laws restrict them. That was a planning board condition, so I believe it's encompassed in that to satisfy that. Does anybody have any? There was one little space left open in the public hearing and seeker section. I was just looking for the date in December where planning board classified the application as a type 2 action, which exempts it from the seeker process. It's more informational. It wasn't necessarily something you guys were contemplating. You weren't lead agency, so I put that in. That's complete to me.
Okay.
So, if there's anything that you need changed or added or? Okay. Well, you want to put a motion forward to adopt the draft decision as written for signature by the chairperson?
And including the new date that was.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
Thanks, George.
Okay. The next item then is Maple Avenue, Philomena Drive, also for a draft decision. Do we need to read?
If everybody is comfortable with it, I'm satisfied with it. But any additions, I have it open. I can open it up and edit it right here if there's anything. But this was a relatively straightforward. We've done a couple in this kind of genre. So otherwise, make a motion to move forward.
Motion to adopt.
I'll second.
10 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right. So those will be available for signature for you tomorrow, Tom. Right?
Okay.
Great. Is that? Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I'll be around probably on Friday.
Yes,
You guys are open on Friday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it?
Yes, you were three, there were the five names, Bob and
I was like,
Trino are on it.
Yep.
Are we able to approve that?
Yeah, you can read this. I mean, we have minutes, we have the YouTube videos, the decisions sound. So, yeah, I mean, I think with minutes and you review the application, you've heard the advocacy. Let me just look real quick on the decision on Mitchell. Yeah, you have three here too.
Yeah.
So let's then we'll just kind of as abstained on that one. Thank you, Sam, for the catch there. And everybody that's here tonight was a part of Northern Bear, so there's no issue there. So I'm going to note an abstention from your end, but I don't think that'll be an issue going forward with the YouTube video. You'll have a full recap, so I believe that members can vote. Even if they missed one of the presentations, otherwise, yeah, so.
That's good to know.
But that's a good catch, thank you.
Yeah.
And
So the next meeting is May 6th?
May 6th, right now, there's, what do you got?
I have the Everett Road one, if Kelly confirms with me Thursday.
That would be interesting.
And then your continuation of Dunwood.
Okay.
I'm stupid. That's all I have.
Okay, perfect. And we were talking about her coming, right?
As far as I know, I forwarded everything to her,
Yeah.
I just need her confirmation.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, you have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for this evening?
Is that
Anything?
No.
Okay, so do we have a motion to?
Motion to close the meeting? Second.